Dave Clark's victory in Glasgow, the first leg of a treble that could earn him more than £7,000.
Under 300 metres to go, and Dave Clark has the look of determination that says, I'm going to win this one. And if those back runners will move aside, it'll make his path to victory that much easier. John Richards coming through strongly, looks as though he's going to take second place, but it's going to be Clark, and what a satisfying victory it will be.
Welcome to Cardiff, surely one of the most picturesque city centres you'll find anywhere in Britain. Stage 2 then of this Gaymer series that's really taking athletics to the people. Hello and good evening to you. We have a bitterly cold day here in Cardiff. If you weren't with us in Glasgow last week, let me just remind you it's 10 kilometres for the men and 3 kilometres for the women, and a great incentive for the best club side as well. Well, with me, I'm delighted to have the greatest Welsh athlete of them all, no exaggeration there really, Lynn Davis. Lynn, you must be well pleased with what's happening in your city today.
It's tremendous, Jim. It's a great concept to have the best athletes in Britain come right to the middle of Cardiff, because athletics now is probably one of the most popular television sports. People see these people on television, and for them to see them in the flesh running here is a great occasion.
And despite the fact that we're all wrapped up pretty well here, the Welsh people have responded very well.
That doesn't matter, I don't think. I think the runners enjoy the atmosphere, the people enjoy being close to the runners, and it just generates a lot of excitement and a lot of atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to some good races.
Lynn, thanks very much indeed. Smashing to see you. Well, it's the women to go first, 3 complete circuits of this track. It's fast and flat, very different though to the one we had in Glasgow last week, but they do have a very quick finishing straight here. That's wind permitting, of course. Well, last week Eamon Martin from Edinburgh was a very popular winner in Glasgow, but with me now is Chrissy Boxer, and Chrissy shivering a bit, a real contrast for you.
Yes, I've just come back from America, and the last few weeks I was in Florida, so it was in the 85s and really hot, so this is a bit of a shock to the system.
Now, I think you watched Yvonne's victory last week and worked out how you're going to run the race today.
Well, I think I don't run the 3,000 as often as some of the other girls. My strength is perhaps my finishing speed. So I would imagine they'll probably dictate the tactics and try and run it hard so that they can run their legs off me. So I've just got to really concentrate on staying up with them. And I think around about 2 kilometres would be a crucial stage. I'll have to really concentrate on working hard to keep with them.
What sort of winter have you had over in Florida?
Well, it's been really good. I've spent time in different parts of America. I've got a really understanding boss in Brendan Foster. He gave me the time off to go to America, which has been great for me. And the last few weeks, it was nice to be able to do some faster track work in the warmth.
And from your point of view, what would be success in today's race?
Well, every athlete's never happy unless they win, and I've had a few good races in America, so I'm hoping to be very competitive. And I'll be hoping to be there, and if I'm there with the last sort of 600, I think I might have them a bit worried, so...
Hoping to stay warm as well, eh?
Yes.
Well, you're not seeing double. These are the Tooby twins. Let's come to Angela first. Angela, how can we tell you apart today?
I won't say one's going to be faster than the other because we don't know. But I'm wearing the red shorts and Susan's going to be wearing blue shorts today. So that'd be the vital difference.
Susan, I'm sure you must have one or two tales about people confusing the pair of you.
Well, it's happened quite a lot. Not so much in recent times, but one of my best runs, I thought my best run was in Birmingham on a rerun, and one of the commentators sort of said afterwards, oh, Susan, and she was the one that dropped out, and I was there all the time, and I thought, oh, if that's how they're not going to tell a difference, then, you know, perhaps it's not so good being the same.
Do you help each other during races?
We try to, yes, we try. I think more as a support rather than, you know, or to psych out the opposition, thinking, you know, we're a team. Well, hopefully it works like that.
And below Cardiff Castle, round the superb Curtes Park, the women's race is underway. Here in the Welsh capital, we join commentator Alan Parry.
And they've got just a little over 2 laps or 2 kilometres to go. This course, almost exactly half a mile round, and you can see from those pictures just how picturesque and scenic it is. And you can also see how closely bunched this field of 30-odd ladies are. It really is a highly competitive distance and a highly competitive field. Christina Boxer, who we've already heard from, and the Toobies, prominent in that leading group. Though it's Carol Haig of Holmfirth wearing number 26 in the yellow top and the black shorts who's the leader. Though the 2Bs on the inside, and Eamon Murray wearing number 32, last week's winner, also there with just a kilometre completed.
And the time there about 3 minutes 6 seconds, so in fact it's rather slower, much slower than last week, perhaps an effect of the very strong wind conditions here.
Number 10, Susan 2B, all in blue, is the leader, with Carol Haig in second place, then Yvonne Murray and Christina Boxer beginning to show too in fourth place at the moment. Susan 2B of the Cardiff Athletics Club, just like twin sister Angela, though strangely enough this is a new experience because although they run for Cardiff, would you believe they've never run in Cardiff before? Club fixtures are mainly held at Cumbran, so a new experience for the 2B twins, running in the city they now represent. It's number 10, Susan 2B, still the leader. 21, Kathy Carter, who was prominent in last week's race, in which she finished third. And there you can see in the centre of the picture, number 32, Yvonne Murray, last week's winner, and Angela 2B coming up to join her sister Susan. Ron Hill.
Yes, Angela's got into the lead into quite a strong wind, and it will be a tactical race here. We've got the longer distance runners, the cross-country runners, lined up against the track specialists, the 1,500-metre runners, on sort of medium ground.
Well, Christina Boxer has just come from something like an 8-month trip to the United States of America. She's not really ready, she was saying, for this kind of distance. She's more suited to the lower distances of 800, 1,500 metres and a mile. But how will she be feeling at this stage of the race? She told us a while ago.
Well, I think as it approaches the 2 kilometre mark, I'm hoping to have settled in, and by that stage I'll be concentrating on just staying with the leading group. I think it will probably narrow down to sort of 4 or 5 people by then. And then I've got to really work on concentrating for that last kilometre, because I think I've got some good speed behind me, so if I can be there at the end of the race, then I should be able to use my kick.
And she may well have to use that kick very soon, because a group of 5 girls, with Kathy Carter now just falling off the back of them slightly, have moved away from the rest of the pack. Number 9 is Angela 2B. There, wearing number 42, is Christina Boxer, we've just heard from. And number 29, Julianne Lawton of Derby Ladies, who was 8th in the race in Glasgow last week, in a personal best time for her of 9 minutes and 15 seconds. And it looks as though those 5, and indeed Julianne Lawton, now beginning to feel the pace, so it may be narrowed down to 4. The 2B twins, Yvonne Murray, number 32, on the left-hand side of the camera, and Christina Boxer with a kilometre to go.
And the pace has definitely speeded up quite a lot there, 6 minutes 0.5, so a much, much faster second kilometre, as the 2B twins in particular have forced the pace.
Very brave running from the 2B twins. They're not going to hang around and run a tactical race themselves. They're not going to sit in and try to shelter from the wind. Very, very aggressive running from this pair. And Yvonne Murray just sitting in nicely now against the wind, taking a ride, and Chrissy Boxer there, poised, waiting to strike if she could get near enough to home to use that formidable sprint finish.
So they come round the corner again, and it's Susan 2B, who very rarely manages to beat her sister Angela, though some people feel that perhaps she has slightly better acceleration, but Angela's the one who mostly wins the big races. But it's Susan 2B in the blue shorts leading at the moment. Angela 2B running alongside her. This is something they do so often. They've dead heated in so many races, but at the moment it's Susan 2B slightly ahead. Then in the centre of the picture, Yvonne Murray, number 32, and nearest to the camera, number 9, Angela 2B. Yvonne Murray with the considerable advantage of last week's win behind her. The confidence of that victory has enabled her now to spread away, and only Christina Boxer has gone with her. And it looks as though one of the 2Bs, at least Angela, might be struggling to stay with this pace. Susan 2B the leader, but Yvonne Murray leads. Christina Boxer, though, looking in good shape behind her and matching that sprint.
Yes, Yvonne's sort of striding away now. She realises maybe that she hasn't got a sprinter's finish at the end, and she's got to make it very, very hard for Chrissy Boxer before they get to the final straight. And it is a really good straight. The road is level. There are no jinxes in it. They can see the finish when they come around that final corner. And if Chrissy can sit in a lot longer, it's going to be a terrific sprint at the end.
Christina Boxer, Britain's best female distance runner in the last few seasons. She really has a formidable record. The first British woman to beat 2 minutes for 800 metres. The Commonwealth Games 1500 metres champion. 6th in Los Angeles. And now it's Christina Boxer who's gone to the lead. And Eamon Martin beginning to feel the pain, but we saw a similar expression on her face a week ago. She feels it. It's hard. But still she had, in Glasgow, the finishing sprint she needed to win. But can she match Christina Boxer? Back in this country after such a long time in the United States of America, and obviously benefiting from that American experience. Christina Boxer looking good for victory at this stage, but Eamon Martin still close enough to strike. But Murray struggling now, I think, and it looks as though it's going to be Boxer's race. And this marvellous turnout here in Cardiff city centre, cheering her home the final few metres, and it's Boxer who wins it. Eamon Martin is second, and the Tooby twins fighting for third place, and it's Angela who gets there just ahead of Susan, who's fourth. So a marvellous run then by Christina Boxer. She holds 4 United Kingdom records from 800 metres to a mile. Eamon Martin, great points for her, of course, the winner a week ago and second place this week. And Eamon Martin must be feeling that if Christina Boxer hadn't been around, it was a race she might well have won again.
Well, we saw the sprinter sitting in and then really kicking for home down the home straight there. Eamon Martin, very courageous, sort of striding out there, but without that sort of final kick that's needed to win races like this.
So a nice picture of the winner from Glasgow a week ago, Eamon Martin, number 32, and this week's winner, number 42.
Is a great run really by Chrissy Boxer. All that training in Florida has paid off, and we'll be hearing from Chrissy very shortly. A superbly timed run by Chrissy Boxer. Let's just get confirmation of that result now from Peter Matthews.
Here's Boxer's winning time there, 8 minutes 54 seconds. A fine time after a slow start. Second, Eamon Martin, 8:56. And third, Angela Tooby, 8 minutes 59 seconds. So that means that after 2 races in the 3-race series Grand Prix, Eamon Martin leading 199 points, Angela Tooby second, 197, and today Susan Tooby fourth and Kath Carter fifth, so they're third equal in the Grand Prix with 194 points.
Well, Chrissy, very well done indeed. I think you thought your pace was going to be decisive, and that's the way it turned out.
Yes, but I think I went a little bit too soon, but as it didn't matter. But I came around that last bend, and it's like coming off the last bend of the track. And I went, and I thought, oh, it's much further than 100 metres, and that last bit seemed to go forever. But I'm really pleased, because it was hard, because the first lap was a bit slower. There's a lot of pushing and bumping, and I had to run very wide just to get up there. So it wound up, and that middle lap was fast.
One stage, it looked as though Yvonne was going to repeat her victory. When did you think you were really going to catch her and get past her?
Well, I could see her trying to get past the tubers on the back straight. She was on the inside, so I guessed she was going to go. And the unfortunate thing is, because that's what she did last week, I was ready for it. And it really hurt to go with it, you know, but I thought, well, if I don't, she'll get away like last week. And then sometimes when you see the finish, you find that extra something. I was really pleased.
OK, very well done indeed.
Thank
Super
you.
race. Good.
I didn't think I stood much chance after the interview because I thought you were going to put the jinx after last week.
You've broken our duck this
Yeah.
Good. Chrissy, well done. OK, so Chrissy Boxer goes home victorious, and now it's time for the men's 10k. Well, if we thought we had a strong field last week in Glasgow, it's even better this time round, and we have some notable additions. Well, last week, Dave Clark was our first winner in Glasgow. Today, he faces the likes of Steve Jones, age 29, the second fastest marathoner of all time. And also Jack Buckner, age 23. Jack, the first domestic winner on ITV just a few weeks ago in that 10k at Battersea. Well, Jack, are you likely to repeat that one today, do you think?
I don't know. I've been watching all your interviews you've had with different people, and so far everyone who's been interviewed hasn't run very well in the race. So I've been a bit worried about doing this interview, so I hope I don't run as badly as some of the other people who've been interviewed.
We call it the kiss of death, actually,
Yeah,
Jack.
right.
But I think it might take a bit more than talking to me to slow you down today, Steve, particularly here in Cardiff.
That's right. Really, it's on home ground today, so I'll be out there giving it as all I've got.
You had the London Marathon, of course, shortly after Battersea. How long does it take you to get a marathon out of your legs?
Well, I felt as if I'd recovered almost straight away. I didn't get stiff or any sore feet or anything. And I carried on my training. I've only missed 1 day since then. This will really be the sort of really find out exactly how much it's taken out of me.
Looking back and remembering Battersea, you had a terrific surge, didn't you? Are you looking to do the same today?
Well, I don't know. I'll see how it goes. I think it's very difficult to predict these races because there are just so many people that have run well, and really what the races have shown so far really is the depth of running and quality athletes that we've got in Britain. So nobody can really predict what's happening, and I think everyone's found it interesting to see who has run well and who hasn't run well. So I'll be hanging on to the back of the pack, I expect, and seeing what happens.
And finally, Steve, a very important day you feel for athletics as far as Cardiff is concerned.
Yes, I think for a change we've got an incredible feel in a race in Wales, and it's great that it is in Cardiff, and we can show the people exactly what international athletics is like at home.
So rejoin us here in Cardiff when Jones, Buckner and Clark all tangle very shortly. 100 runners are ready for the off. 10 full laps ahead of them. We rejoin Alan Parry.
And Britain is almost certainly the only country in athletics that could produce such a large field of such quality with such depth of very, very good runners. Really, road racing in Great Britain has a depth of quality unmatched almost anywhere in the world. And I think we're going to see that proved in this race today. Number 120, yawning, which is hardly the kind of confident start you'd expect, or perhaps he's so confident that he's a little bit bored by it all, Steve Jones. Jack Buckner alongside him, the man who beat Steve Jones in the Battersea 10k road race that you may have seen on ITV a few weeks ago. So, this massively talented field lines up just in front of County Hall here in King Edward VII Avenue in Cardiff city centre. Number 2 in the yellow top and the red shorts, and wearing the yellow number, which denotes that he was the winner of the race a week ago, the first race in the series in Glasgow, is Dave Clark. And just jogging on the spot, number 3, the blonde-haired figure just behind Clark, that's Clark, John Richards. So the starter has them ready, and the false start. You don't often see that in a 10-kilometre road race. It shows, I think, the anxiety. They have a run of about 50 or 60 metres, no more, before they encounter the first bend, and that's why they're all so anxious to find themselves a good starting position. Dave Clark, last week's winner, and John Richards, who finished second to him a week ago, prominent already in this opening group as they run along King Edward VII Avenue on the first of 10 laps. Number 11, Eamon Martin in the centre of the picture there too, the man who ran disappointingly in the Battersea 10k race and is determined to make up for that disappointment here today. So some of the big names in that early group as they go beneath our commentary position on the finish line. And really, I think this a race of such quality that few people, experts or spectators alike, are prepared to predict who might win it. The course is just about 1 kilometre long, so they do 10 complete laps, and it's a course that takes them alongside and through some of the most picturesque sights I think I've seen in any city centre in Great Britain. The Civic Centre here, surely one of the finest in the land. They now turn, and soon will be turning again into Museum Avenue in front of the National Museum of Wales and the University College and the Welsh office. So many of the fine sights that the runners will see as they make their way round this 10-kilometre course. Number 5 in the blue shorts, Mike Bishop, a man who's actually run cross-country and road races in an English vest, but is keen to qualify to run for Wales. Both his grandfather and his father were Welsh, and Mike, who has a twin brother, Martin Bishop, also running in this race, wants to run in the Commonwealth Games for Wales next year, and is investigating at the moment the possibilities of qualifying. Ron Hill, former European and Commonwealth Marathon gold medalist, alongside me. Ron, what a fine racing prospect.
Yes, the start looks a little bit more leisurely than last week. I may be wrong. We're going to get a time, and Peter Matthews will put me straight on that, I'm sure. But it looks a little bit more leisurely. It looks like it's going to be slightly more tactical. Leading at the moment, Mike Bishop, number 5 in the white vest with the blue band. He's a very aggressive runner. He told me this morning that he'd run with Carl Harrison abroad in France, and we saw what Carl did last week when he was dropped off the pack and then came back to finish in 5th place. Carl ran a race with Mike Bishop in France and was so tired after the race that he couldn't eat the evening meal. And Mike said that inspired him to go out every time he runs to try and get the best out of himself and to give everything that he's got.
2 Welshmen well to the fore. Number 124 is James Hill of Newport Harriers in the black shorts. And number 253, Dale Rickson, who's actually, although he's running with the blue Cardiff vest, has entered as an individual.
And they've just passed the 1 kilometre point, and the time 2 minutes 48 seconds. Actually, that's a little faster perhaps than we're expecting. It's 28-minute pace, though not quite as fast as they went off in Glasgow last week.
Paul O'Callaghan, number 154, who we saw one of the early leaders a week ago in the green and white hoops of Tipton. And number 23, Paul Cummings of the United States of America, wearing number 23, has gone into the lead.
I'm surprised that Paul has got into the lead so early, because he only arrived in the UK on Thursday, and I think he's flying back tomorrow. It's a very fleeting visit, and I would have thought he would be taking a little bit more time to settle down in the pack, but he seems to be grabbing the race by the scruff of the neck and taking the lead there. He's a very capable competitor if he's on form. He's got a 3:56 mile to his credit. He's also done a 2:12 marathon, so this falls into the sort of very wide spectrum of his capabilities, and if he's on form, he could provide quite a challenge to our English boys today.
And the distinctive headband and blue vest of Nat Muir of Scotland, also prominent in the leading group. Dave Clark just using his elbows there, and Steve Jones comfortably placed on the inside. And still, it's number 23, Paul Cummings of the United States of America, who leads. A man with a tremendous range of distances. He won the United States Olympic trials 10,000 meters. And as he comes down the avenue here, the distance of 10k no problem to him, because Cummings has run the excellent time of 2 hours 12 minutes for a marathon. He's also the former world best time for the half marathon of 61 minutes 32 seconds. Dave Clark, who certainly took a little bit of ribbing from some of the athletes he beat in last week's race, because they were all actually staying with him. People like John Richards, who finished second to him, who had that long trip back down to Cornwall, stayed in Dave Clark's home last Sunday, and they felt that perhaps the hospitality was very much to be on him, since he had picked up that handsome prize. Some very big prizes at stake for individuals and clubs alike in this 3-race series.
Running on Cummings' shoulder now is John Woods of Liverpool Harriers, an Irish international, good cross-country runner, a little bit dissatisfied with what he did at the Battersea 10k, so he's looking to provide a little bit more of an impression today.
And the time there still very fast, 5 minutes 31.7. Again, not quite as fast as at Glasgow. The runner's always very keen to get out of trouble and make sure they get off to a reasonable start on these fairly tight courses. And if the pattern is the same as in Glasgow, we can probably expect this leading group to settle down to a very steady rhythm before anyone makes a decisive move.
And the statue commemorating the Boer War, one of many statues dotted around this very picturesque circuit. And they will be running soon in front of the City Hall, with the fierce Welsh dragon atop the massive clock tower. And our camera, something like 400 or 500 feet high on one of the buildings surrounding the course. And there you're able to see the complete circuit, which is around about half a mile long, which they run, remember, 10 times. And they've got something like 7.5 laps to go. The leader is still Cummings of the United States of America, Woods of Liverpool there, and O'Callaghan, Nat Muir, number 220 in the blue vest, and also John Richards, the blonde figure. And now they have been joined by Craig Virgin, who ran rather disappointingly, number 21, just out of picture at the moment. He ran rather disappointingly last week in Glasgow, but he explained that he hadn't really had time, rather like Cummings here, to acclimatise. There he is now, number 21, Craig Virgin, just on the left of that group, all in red. Craig Virgin, very much one of the best United States road runners, but feeling a little bit of jet lag in Glasgow a week ago. Well, since then, he's been training on Hampstead Heath. He feels far more settled in, and is looking forward to a better performance today, and has threatened to take the pace on early in this race. So the leader is still Cummings of the United States of America. Nat Muir on the right-hand side of the picture in the blue top and the headband. Then Steve Jones, number 120, former world record holder for the marathon, moving through into second place. John Woods in the yellow vest. Carl Harrison, number 140 in the maroon shorts, now on the left-hand side of the picture. And Barry Smith of Gateshead, another who figured prominently in the early stages of last week's race. They're all still in that group of a dozen men or more, with John Tuttle, number 22, who finished third, wearing the red vest of the United States, behind his compatriot, number 21, Craig Virgin.
Number 154 in the green and white hoops, Paul O'Callaghan from Tipton Harriers, did some of the leading last week rather surprisingly, and he's obviously going to mix it with them today. Eamon Martin still in the middle of the group in an all-grey outfit. Carl Harrison on the extreme left, 140, beginning to go a little bit red and beginning to have that sort of very dedicated and pained expression on his face.
Jack Buckner, who's many people's pre-race favourite. You can't actually see him in shot at the moment, but he is just behind this narrow leading group as they come into sight once again down Museum Avenue.
Yeah, Jack is on the rails. He's wearing a green vest over a blue T-shirt, and that says something about the weather here. I think we're into what the Norwegians call a green winter. We haven't seen any summer at all yet, and to have to wear a T-shirt on so sort of late in May is ridiculous, really. But he's decided that he wants to keep warm and not run any risks of straining his shoulders. But he's not running on his shoulders, obviously. He's running on his legs. But it is that cold. He was warming up, in fact, with a hood and a full tracksuit on. So it really is cold. Cummings has come from quite hot weather. He lives in Utah. In fact, he lives at 4,500 feet. So he may have a bit of advantage of altitude training there, because Steve Jones, in fact, is off to Utah later this month to do 2 weeks of his own altitude training.
Steve Jones, a man who really is equally at home on the road, the track, or the cross-country. Number 120, Steve Jones, on the right-hand side of the picture, all in white, the Welshman running on home soil. And just to emphasise that fact, in 1984, he set that world record for the Chicago Marathon. He finished third in the World Cross-Country Championships and reached the Olympic Games final over 10,000 metres, though ran a little disappointingly to finish ninth, below expectations. Steve Jones is the leader then, although he's now been joined again by Paul O'Callaghan, and rather as in Glasgow a week ago, no one content to go out in front for too long. Number 154 is O'Callaghan. And again, the aerial shot showing, I think, now that that group of 15 or so men have opened up a gap of some 10 to 15 metres, which has really spread the rest of the field. And even at this relatively early stage, Ron Hill, I think we can say that the winner is going to come from that group with 4 kilometres gone.
Yeah, that's absolutely certain. They're running down with the wind, and 11:10. What does that present, Peter, for a final finish? Have you any idea?
Yes, it's a good pace still, Ron. That's just inside 28-minute pace. And remember that Dave Clark won last week in 28 minutes 10, and Buckner did 28:13 before. So maintaining a very good pace indeed here.
Jack Buckner will be a man who the rest will fear at the finish. Buckner's pace proved to be too strong for Steve Jones and indeed the rest of the field in Battersea a month or so ago, and it will be Buckner, I think, that will be most feared by this leading group. Jack Buckner told us before the race what his tactics were going to be.
At 4 kilometres, I imagine there'll still be a very large pack. It's a very windy afternoon, and I don't think anyone will be trying to do anything too clever early on in the race. So I think there'll probably be a large number of people together, all playing fairly safe.
So Buckner, who will be going soon to the United States to take on some very, very redoubtable competitors indeed. There he is, number 18 in the green vest over the blue T-shirt. Jack Buckner, in a couple of weeks' time, will be meeting the likes of Joachim Cruz, Sidney Marie and Steve Scott over 1,500 metres. Although Dave Clark's finishing burst in Glasgow proved that he too has the acceleration to handle a quick finish if it comes to that. Dave Clark, number 2. Jonathan Richards, number 3, the blonde-haired figure in the blue shorts. They were 1 and 2 in Glasgow a week ago, and still up there with them at this stage, John Woods of Liverpool Harriers in the yellow vest and the dark shorts, number 108.
And we should also remember this is a team competition. Gateshead Harriers were the winners last week, and they've got 2 runners just on the back of this group. Barry Smith wearing 80 and Kevin Forster 81, and also Bingley Harriers in with a chance today, and they're represented by Steve Binns and by Colin Moore. But in fact, those 2 clubs are now have been overtaken at this stage in the race by Tipton Harriers, led by Paul O'Callaghan, who we've seen several times, and also Andy Holden. Tipton are lying in the lead in the club event from Bingley, and then Gateshead and Stretford.
Must be one of the greenest parks and one of the greenest city centres in Britain. Cardiff has really laid on everything apart from the weather, I think, for us today. As John Woods of Liverpool Harriers still leads, but still very prominent in that leading group are the 3 Americans. And the Welsh crowd will be hoping, I'm sure, for a Welsh victory in the shape of Steve Jones as we reach the halfway point.
Well, there with the pace just outside that 28 minutes, 14 minutes 0.4. So it's been slowing a little over these last 2 kilometres.
With so many in that leading group, I think we could expect to see the pace probably increase at the end. One casualty that's gone off the back is Paul Cummings. He's drifted away from the group and he will never get back on again. One name that hasn't been mentioned in the centre of the pack there for Tipton Harriers, Tony Milosoroff in the green and white hoops.
I was saying, Ron, before the race that probably no other country in the world could produce a road race with this depth of quality. Would you agree with that? Why is it that Britain is so prominent?
I think we've got such a great tradition of middle distance and long distance running that to get to the top in this country, you have to train very, very hard, and you've got to compete very, very hard, and you've got to be excellent. I mean, if you wanted to run 1,500 metres, you've got to get past Steve Cram, Steve Ovett and Seb Coe, and these are the standards that we set ourselves.
Well, certainly, as you suggest, with the quality of athletics and particularly middle distance and long distance running in Britain, you have to do something very exceptional to capture the headlines. But there in the centre of the picture, number 120, Steve Jones, is a man who did just that, of course, with that world best time in the Chicago Marathon and his victory in the London Marathon a fortnight ago. Steve Jones talked to Jim Rosenthal before the race and talked about the possibility of winning here in Cardiff.
6k, I should imagine somebody's at least one person would have tried to make a move by then. Maybe it might be me, I'm not quite sure yet. If it's fast enough, I'll sit back a while. But I should imagine somebody's tried to dominate the race starting at 6k.
Steve Jones is being watched today, incidentally, by his family, his wife Annette and sons Daffyd, there's a good Welsh name for you, and Matthew amongst the crowd. And he himself is watching at the moment the leader, John Woods, and watching him very carefully. So, from left to right in that group, number 22, all in red, is John Tuttle of the United States. Number 21 is Craig Virgin of the United States. Just behind them is Eamon Martin. Number 120 is Steve Jones. 108 in the yellow top is the leader, John Woods. John Richards, wearing number 3, is on the inside of that group. And Carl Harrison, number 140, with the ever-present, it seems, grimace on his face, on the left-hand side of the picture in the maroon shorts.
Well, a big group. John Woods leading them into the wind here, and it seems to have detached itself quite remarkably from the rest of the field. Colin Moore at the back there running in his vest with a big hole in it. It's his favourite vest.
There's the 6 kilometre point. Time 16 minutes 50.3, so maintaining a very steady pace of 2 minutes 50 for each kilometre, just outside 28-minute pace, because as Ron said before, undoubtedly they'll speed up towards the finish with so many fast kickers in there, and we could have the fastest 10 kilometres on the road ever in Britain. That in fact stands at 27 minutes 59 to Steve Jones last year, and it looks like we may be inside that time today.
I notice at the back of that leading group, Nigel Gates, who really was a revelation at Glasgow. He led between 8 and 9 kilometres, finished 7th in the end, and that was undeniably his best ever run, and that at the age of 31. His wife, Julia, also a competitor today in the women's 3,000 metres. So it's now Steve Jones in the lead. He's on the inside, there he is, number 120, with Woods, the Irishman from Liverpool Harriers, still looking comfortable. Number 21 is Craig Virgin. Steve Binns, number 41 in the blue and white hoops. And Jack Buckner, also looking very comfortable at this stage. John Tuttle, number 22, all in red, the other American on the left-hand side of the picture. And Tony Milosorov just behind Eamon Martin, who is another who still looks as though he's got plenty in reserve, Ron.
Well, Steve fears that he hasn't got a sprint finish, so he's got to take it on as early as he can in the race to try to draw the sting from the sprinters. He's not afraid to do the work. He's a very courageous runner, and he'll have a go, and he'll try to use that marathon strength that he's got to apply the pressure to this group and drop them off the back. And we can see Bernie Ford from Aldershot in red, number 30, just falling back there.
And a lot of men have fallen back because this pace has really sorted out, shall we say, the internationals, the world-class athletes from the very, very good club runners who make up the rest of this field. This is a quality race, no doubt about that, and there are some very, very good men in amongst that group. Number 11, Eamon Martin, nearest to the camera, who I know felt he had a good run in him today. He was disappointed, as I say, with his performance in Battersea. He's been training. There he is, number 11, Eamon Martin, on the track this week. He feels very, very sharp, and he feels indeed that this summer he could go very close to lowering his personal best for the 5,000 metres to close to 13 minutes.
Steve Binns takes the pace on now. He ran very, very well last week. I thought he would have had a better sprint finish than he had, but I mean, these things can change from week to week. This may be his day today, but Jack Buckner is just what I call lurking in the wings there. He's running very much like he did at Battersea Park. He looks relaxed, his arms are sort of flopping about. He's just watching the group, moving up as anybody makes a move, just to what we call cover the moves. We're moving into third place there now, just in front of Eamon Martin.
And the 6 kilometre point, they've just passed 19 minutes 37.8, and that means that the pace did indeed pick up in that last kilometre. Interestingly, Steve Jones was the main person who was responsible for that pace change, and it's at 6 kilometres that he did exactly the same thing in Battersea when he stepped up the pace. This time, though, he's got help in that pace setting from Steve Binns.
So this is the leading group. Number 41, Steve Binns in the blue and white hoops. Number 120 is Steve Jones, and number 18, just coming to Jones's shoulder, is Jack Buckner, who planned his race. He plans them all meticulously and knew exactly where he would be at this point. Perhaps he wasn't expecting to lap a couple of runners who will now be obliged to move over and drop out of the race, but Jack Buckner certainly knew where he'd be and indeed what his plans would be at this stage of the race.
By 8 kilometres, the race should have thinned out a bit more, but going by Glasgow, that isn't necessarily going to be the case. So I think we could be seeing a similar race to Glasgow and an exciting finish with one of several athletes, or several athletes could be involved in it still.
And indeed they are, because who would like to put their head on the chopping block and pick a winner from this? A real who's who of British middle and long distance running that we're seeing here. Number 41, Steve Binns. Number 18 is Buckner. And of course we have the American challenge in that leading group too. Number 22 is John Tuttle. 21 is Craig Virgin, both in the all red of the United States. Number 11, Eamon Martin. And number 120, all in white, is Steve Jones, with Carl Harrison on the left-hand side of the picture, number 140. And Dave Clark, the Glasgow winner, wearing number 2 on the right-hand side of the picture. Barry Smith's still in there too, and so is John Richards, and so is Nat Muir.
Yeah, Colin Moore from Bingley just been dropped off the back, as has Kevin Forster. when these guys go into the lead and make that little surge, it's got the effect of just dropping those people off the back who are really, really struggling. And Carl Harrison has got a habit of running on the outside of the group all the time. I'm surprised he doesn't try to tuck in when they're running into a wind, because it's about 15% easier to run behind somebody, even in still air, than it is to run alongside them. And to run into a wind when there's shelter available is sort of difficult to understand. But Gary Tuttle, who surprised everybody last week to finish so well up, is looking very menacing there. Craig Virgin in red, just at the back of the group, is looking to struggle a little bit.
There is the sign showing just 2 kilometres to go. The time 22 minutes 27.1, just 3 seconds outside 28-minute pace. And just a reminder that also in the team competition, leading at the moment are now Stretford, who've moved into the lead just ahead of Bingley and Tipton, but it's really neck and neck between those teams. They've got to have 3 runners to finish, with Gateshead in 4th place.
There are now less than 2 laps to go. Could it be a sprinter's finish? Well, if it is, Jack Buckner is the man who'll expect to have that finish, and we're getting almost a repeat situation now of what we saw in Battersea a month or so ago, with Steve Jones leading but being followed by a very frisky looking Jack Buckner. But more importantly and differently to Battersea, there are still another 6 or 7 men in that group capable of winning now. Dave Clark, last week's winner. Eamon Martin, number 11, left-hand side of the picture. Buckner looks over his shoulder and sees Eamon Martin looking ominously comfortable too. Carl Harrison, well, that expression on his face hardly speaks of comfort, does it? But as we were saying before, he always runs that way. Don't be put off by that expression. Carl Harrison still has a lot of running in him, and so does number 80 on the left-hand side of the picture, Barry Smith of Gateshead. Craig Virgin of the United States, disappointed in his performance in Glasgow, is there too, and really it's still at this stage any one of 8 or 9 men who can win.
I think Buckner's landed with the lead he doesn't really want. He's just almost casually looking around as if to say, well, you know, let's get the time passing until it's my time to make a big sprint for the finish. Eamon Martin looks very, very comfortable too, but whether he'll be able to live with Jack Buckner over a fast final 400 or 500 metres remains to be seen.
And now it's Buckner who's gone into the lead, and really this leading group have set a formidable pace. Buckner who leads, Carl Harrison is second, Eamon Martin is third, then it's John Tuttle, Dave Clark, Steve Jones has dropped back slightly, and Nat Muir on the inside, with Steve Binns of Bingley and Craig Virgin still in that group. But Buckner, really, one can say, looking at that style and looking at the confidence and the relaxed manner of his running, Ron, that we might well be looking at a winner here, number 18, Jack Buckner.
Yeah, not only is he physically relaxed, he's also got a very relaxed mental attitude towards this. He's here to enjoy the race today, and I think as he got shunted into the lead, he, instead of trying to dive back into the pack and bide his time, he's the sort of guy who might just, well, here I am, I'm going to take it on and let's see what you can do with me.
And now they approach the bell. A lap to go then for the leading group, and the crowd really lifted by the excitement of what should be a tremendous finish here. And now it looks as though 4 have broken clear. Buckner, Harrison, Martin, Tuttle, but Clark is in there too, and Steve Jones, the marathon man, is not in that leading group.
And the time, 25 minutes 12 at 9 kilometres, exactly on 28-minute pace. They'll surely go faster in the finish, and this could well be the fastest 10 kilometres ever run in Britain. Nick Rhodes has run a fast time in the States of 27.34, but their target for a British all-comers road record will be 27.59. They must get that. And let's remind ourselves too that Jack Buckner is one of the world's fastest milers, 3:51. Eamon Martin and Dave Clark also very fast milers.
And a gap beginning to build now between those 5 and Craig Virgin, who's heading the second group. And there's Steve Jones, way back now, and obviously the pace, well, he's not that far back still, but I wouldn't expect Steve Jones to be able to pull up now to this leading group, led by number 18, Jack Buckner. Carl Harrison, number 140, nearest the camera in second place. Eamon Martin, just obscured by Harrison, and there's Dave Clark, the Glasgow winner, on the inside. What a finish this is going to be.
Eamon looks really, really comfortable there. He's sort of glancing to the ground. He's content to let the others take the responsibility for the pace. Carl's running a tremendous race here, a really gutsy performance, but when the sprinting starts, will he be able to hold on? They turn across the top of the course now, and they know when they make the final turn, it's going to be with the wind. It's a straight road, it's a good road, and there are less than 400 metres to go. So here's where the big kickers will start to apply the kick.
Well, Eamon Martin, number 11 there, took part in a tremendous finish in the Newcastle city centre road race over 5 kilometres when he was just out-sprinted by David Lewis. Is he to suffer the same experience again, I wonder, only this time, possibly from Buckner, but don't discount Clark yet. Harrison can't live with this finishing burst, but it's Buckner and Martin, and of the two, it's Eamon Martin who possibly looks the more comfortable at this stage, and he's coming to the shoulder of Buckner. Clark's trying hard to hold on. What a finish this is going to be. Eamon Martin has gone into the lead, and perhaps those track sessions this week have paid off for Eamon Martin. And Eamon Martin is going to win it, already has the confidence to raise his hands to the crowd and punches the air in delight, and he's out-sprinted the sprinter Jack Buckner, and a marvellous victory for Eamon Martin of Basildon, the winner. Second place goes to Jack Buckner. Dave Clark is third, and that time of 27:46.8, a sensational performance by Eamon Martin. And the Basildon man, coached by Mel Batty, and would you believe his coach is actually on holiday in the United States of America, so he's missed this marvellous triumph. Eamon Martin, very close to that record, and here he is now talking to Jim Rosenthal.
Eamon, a superb run, and I'm told a British record as well.
That's it. I wasn't really worried about records. Just ran the race, just tucked in and left it to as late as possible. Quite a nice finishing straight for me, really.
But I know you were very keen to make up here for a disappointing run earlier this season in Battersea.
Yeah, that was a bit of an experiment in Battersea, which didn't work, so I went back to my old tactics, as it were.
What were your old tactics?
Sit in, really, and see who's about, and I'm very strong over the last 200, 300 over this sort of distance. I felt so easy on the last lap there. I thought I had it once we went to the home straight, to be honest.
Did you really, even with somebody of the finishing speed of Jack Buckner?
Yeah, it's not just about finishing speed. There's, you know, other factors as well, strength, stamina. And I haven't really performed very well this winter to my capabilities anyway, so it's nice to get it out of my system anyway.
It's a great boost for you, Eamon. Very well done indeed. Terrific.
Thanks, Jim.
Confirmation there of Eamon Martin's splendid time, 27 minutes 47 seconds, the 6th fastest ever in the world. Jack Buckner second, 27 minutes 49, and Dave Clark third, 27:50, as the first 7 ran better than the previous time ever recorded for a 10-kilometre road race in Britain. So that means that the Grand Prix standings, with Martin and Buckner not running in Glasgow, Dave Clark, the winner, 198 points. John Tuttle, 5th today, 194. And Carl Harrison, 4th today, leading his club Stretford to the team victory, 3rd with 193 points.
And a tremendous run by Eamon and by Chrissy. If we can just look ahead a couple of weeks, a fortnight's time in Antrim. We go to Antrim for the UK Championships, and there's coverage of that on both the Saturday and the Sunday on ITV. And I'm delighted that Lynn Davis is going to be joining us there. Lynn, you'll be part of our athletics team throughout the summer. You must be looking forward to it.
Very much indeed, Jim. And the UK Closed Championships are traditionally the first opportunity this season for not so much the top athletes, but those who are trying to make their mark early on in the season to really prove themselves. And there's so much incentive this summer for our athletes that I'm sure we're going to see some cracking performances there. I'm looking forward to being with you.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to talking, of course, throughout the summer months. So what about the event we've had here today? It went really well for the city of Cardiff.
Tremendous occasion. I think everybody's delighted, Jim. Great to see distances finish with such an exciting finish as that. I mean, Eamon coming through there over the last 60 metres, he looked easy anyway, and Christine Boxer. But a great occasion all round, I think, for top athletics to come to the middle of Cardiff. And I think the response to the crowd has shown just what an enjoyable occasion it has been. I've thoroughly enjoyed it anyway. It's been great.
We have as well. Look forward to seeing you in the coming months, Lynn.
Thanks, Jim.
And just to say, looking ahead to June the 2nd, we have the climax of this series in Westminster, and the field will be joined by 2 Olympic silver medalists. Mike McLeod, a really feared roadrunner, Mike McLeod, and Wendy Sly. Well, Wendy Sly, quite simply, the best woman on the road in the world. And so our congratulations to our 2 winners here today, to Eamon Martin and to Chrissy Boxer. And from us all in Cardiff, bye-bye.